This is the poetry reading and roundtable edition of People and Their Poems, hosted by Sandy Lee Carlson. Our featured poets today are Marianne Abdo and Isabel Van Merlin.
Welcome everybody to the June 2025 Poetry Roundtable hosted by Ornog Mountain Publishing, along with People and Their Poems podcast. It's great to have a nice group here in Connecticut in the United States. We have another rainy day, and so thank you for bringing the sunshine from all around the world. We have the good fortune today of having Marianne Abdo here to be our featured poet. So we'll get started with Marianne, hear some poems, respond, and then we'll go around the group. I think it might be best if we're all mute while we're listening, though, just in case anything extraneous goes on in our homes, like my barking dogs, for example. And Floyd is joining us for today's meeting. He's not a poet, but he has an ear for it.
Well, Sandy, thank you for having me. I appreciate it. And I wrote this poem last year. It's in honor of D-Day, which was just yesterday. So Normandy. I left Akron, Ohio, a very naive 19-year-old, in a military plane for the first time, not knowing my fate of a soldier's life. You see, I signed up to defend freedom, huddling in on this frigate in a country far from Ohio. My newfound friends are silent, knowing this could be their last day on Earth. I hear my mom's words, "Be safe, my son, and we will miss you." And I will be thinking about you at the June picnic. Gunshots and missiles over my head. Some of my comrades are dead. I heard my Army commander's last words, "Go get 'em, boys, be brave now." He dies alongside of me, not able to fully say fight. Trudging through bloody waters, men screaming for their lives. Smoke and death fill the air. Returning to Akron, a broken man. Married my childhood sweetheart and raised a family. My children and grandchildren ask me about my Purple Heart. They do not understand that some sorrows are too great to speak about. Returning back to France's shores on the 6th day of June, saluting with my family all the lives lost, staring at all those white crosses like good soldiers in a row. I could still smell the smoke and hear the screams of my fellow servicemen. Their blood penetrated through the sands of freedom. Thank you. We'll go to a little bit more uplifting poetry. Effervescent soul. Our souls are never inside of our body's encasement. Our souls are living and breathing, circling outside of our bodies, an encapsulation of light, enabling us to share that light with others. Uplifting light, loving light, compassionate light, joyful light, playful light, warm light. It is a radiant light. It is a totality of light, our own personal sunlight. And that's Effervescent Soul. I'm going to read something from my poetry book. It's called Fractured Lollipop, Poems of Brokenness, Healing, and Hope. And it's based on my experience. I've been in healthcare since I'm 14. And it's based on my experiences in healthcare. Let's see. Bear with me. We dream about journeys throughout our lives. Some journeys are planned with months of preparation, time, money, and the perfect destination, soaking up all what this world has to offer. White sandy beaches, mountains of no return, lush green forests, deserts painted against the sky, cliffs of white chalk. The journeys we make are those of expectations, but unplanned journeys are the heart's true desire. to trek upon this world without needing a dime, finding new places in unexpected realms, near our own backyard, meditating by the river, walking amongst the butterfly parade, sitting high atop of the world, watching trees form intricate branch lace patterns. Deer gracefully walking with their fawns. We have a choice, either just take a rushed pace or just letting the journey unburden us in a dimension where time is non-existent. How many do you want me to read? Thank you. Let's find something else.
Yeah, I think one more would be great, Marianne. Thank you.
Okay, no problem. And this one's based off of an article I saw. This man lost his home, everything, and he was homeless, but yet he's in his truck with his wife and his dog, belongings in the back, and he's smiling. And it's like, I couldn't fathom, how could you be smiling when you don't have any place to go? So retirement is not so golden. Homelessness has risen amongst those who have walked all of their lives, but they say the golden years are grand. When some have chosen between their heart medication or their heat, for they say the golden years are grand. When some have no choice but to sell all of their priceless family artifacts just to survive, for they say the golden years are grand. When they are forced to move from the place they called home, only to live in cars and trucks with their bulldog in front of their seat, hoping to find another permanent shelter. For they say the golden years are grand. In a country where wealth is predominantly obscene, and yet disparity is more predominant for many, for the golden years are not so grand. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Marianne, and thank you for remembering the anniversary of D-Day. That was a powerful poem. How many people in our group have a connection in some way to people who fought in the Second World War or in any of our wars?
My sister, yeah, the Iraq War.
Yeah, it really, it strikes home. And I think, when you talked about the soldier coming home and never really being able to speak of what had happened, I had that experience as a young girl with my great uncles who fought in the Second World War, and something about their silence was very instructive about how horrible it was, their dignity and their reserve. You
Absolutely.
wonder, places you just can't go with them, So, and thank you. And there's just the sands of freedom made me think about how it's an earned experience and like sand shifting, right? We have to tread carefully and with vigilance. So thank you very much. Did anybody else want to comment on Marianne's poems?
I wanted to say I really appreciate the range. You had so many different topics that you represented in the poetry you chose for today. And so I like it that it's such a broad swath.
Thank you.
Yes, I did enjoy, if that's the right word. I was moved by the first poem, the D-Day poem. I was visualizing that movie, Sergeant Ryan, was it?
Saving Private Ryan?
Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
Yeah, Saving Private Ryan. Yeah, I've never been to Normandy, but I was born just 2 years after the end of the war.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel that it's in me. My dad was in the service, but he was stateside.
We need to remember those stories because there's few. It was on the news, the world news last night. There's not many of them left. And for them to return at the same shores, I mean, like, to me, that's mind blowing. And people they've never met came up to them and said, "Thank you for your service." People from all different countries. That was moving too.
Absolutely.
About 10 years ago, I was living in Florida, and on a bumper sticker on the car that was parked next to me was a vet. And I met the gentleman, and he was both at Normandy and at Iwo Jima.
Wow.
Wow. Wow is the word, right? It's amazing.
The connections that we have, talking about how people from all over the world, from different countries, came up and thanked him for his service and so forth. It's more and more, it feels to me like the world is so small and we're connected in ways that we have no idea of. And anyway,
Absolutely.
very moving. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that poem. We poets have a recurrent motive, a connecting thread in all our works. Prior to joining this session, I was almost halfway through watching Ellen Klimoff's Wait and See, Come and See, the 1985 film, which is considered the ultimate anti-war statement. And ma'am, your first poem, doubly resonated with me, not just because it was an individual and collective perspective, but that cinematic, image also kind of got integrated with your words. So thank you so much. It makes me believe that there are so many divisions that we try to enforce upon each other, but ultimately we've all been touched by war, by some kind of, betrayal by our governments, by our immediate societies. And it is always the civilians who have to bear the brunt of it for lifetimes. So thank you, ma'am, for that poem.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you for your kind words.
Okay. Prithvijit, why don't we move on to you then? And but before we do that, Marianne, where are you calling in from?
Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania. Okay, I'll go the other side of the world now.
Okay.
Prithvijit.
Yes.
All right.
Excuse me, Sandy, but I thought I was supposed to be a feature with
Oh, my
somebody
bad,
else.
my bad. Thank you. I'm discombobulated, truly and truly. Yeah, no, there's no hiding it today. I'm sorry, Prithvijit. Go ahead, Isabel. I'm sorry, very, very sorry. Go
Well,
ahead.
I mean, this is my first time with your regular meeting, and I don't mean to be rude, but I was just wondering.
Not rude at all. We're very informal. We're a group of friends who are poets, and you got to keep me in line every now and again. So go right ahead.
Okay. Well, thank you, because it looks like a really good group here, so I'm honored and pleased. I picked this first poem because it's to a friend of mine who used to live in Connecticut. We met each other in California years and years and years ago, and when I was living back east a few years ago, we would get together for holidays and stuff because our one child each was on this coast. To Pam, you knew you were going. Did you know where you were going? Are you there now? I hope you didn't have to take American Airlines. I would have given you a pass if I could. How do we make it this far, which is not far at all, not nearly far enough, with only a few photos saved by? How did we miss the signs, the huge mirrors with our names on them, beings all around us, pointing at us, pinching us, sending flowers, love letters, convincing us of the joy, excitement, satisfaction of this earthly life, its false permanence. How did we get sidetracked by work, sleep, worry, dreams, the weight of the material world? Well, Missy, I'll meet up with you on the other side, wherever that is, pretty soon, whatever that means. And we can plan our next trip, the best trip to the world, your world, I haven't been to yet. You always have room on the sofa for me, Pumpkin Pammy. I miss you so much.
Aw.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Yeah. And my maternal grandparents were married in Stamford, Connecticut in 1906. Just, just to show I have a connection with you guys. Okay. Um, this is called the dinner table. I had to be quick if I wanted seconds. If there was anything left for seconds, I was the youngest and the smallest. Mother always set the table with cloth napkins, and napkin rings too. Antique silver ones with names engraved in spidery script. Not our names, but those of spinster aunts, handed down like the candlesticks and the white linen tablecloth. Forks were not lifted until the blessing was said. She was an only child of older parents, now trying to retain some elegance of her youth, to stem the incoming tide of genteel poverty. I felt bad for her. She wanted us to be healthy, gave us viettes, big fat tablets of chopped up green, probably alfalfa. I would chew them up, too big to swallow whole, down them with gulps of milk. One night, a joke was told. I had just chewed one up, but before I could swallow, the big mouthful of green milk was spewed all over the table. Oh no, the tablecloth, no longer white, the napkins useless to clean up the mess. The look on her face, I felt bad for her. She had no idea what she was getting into when she got knocked up, had to get married, probably thinking she was finally going to be happy in a place she'd been dreaming of all her life. Surely marriage and children was that place. But then to have 5? How did that happen? I was definitely another one too many, and I felt bad for her. I like cloth napkins and candles at the dinner table. I think we mostly turned out okay. I don't know why my arms aren't longer. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, being the youngest, much youngest of 5. And here's another funny one about a dinner. The rehearsal dinner. I had 3 older sisters. The youngest of them had 6 sons. Yes, count them, 6. And they are all smart and fun and have a great sense of humor. Their dad was a preacher who got run out of Alabama by the Klan because he and a bunch of other Presbyterian ministers thought Christian students should be able to fellowship together once a year, no matter their color. I mean, there was only one Jesus of Nazareth, yes? So the family moved to West Virginia, where the people's skin was colored by coal dust. There came a time when one of the sons was getting married. The oldest sister and I went up to West Virginia and got there in time for the rehearsal dinner. The dinner was held in the church basement, and the menu was pizza. It was quite good, and all were having a good time when the youngest son came around asking who wanted seconds. My older sister said she'd like cheese. Young nephew asked me, would you like veterinarian? He surely knew that I like dogs, the 4-legged kind, not the round cylindrical ones that you usually eat on a bun with mustard and ketchup and such. I mean, he had celebrated my birthday a few years before with candles in a banana, an orange, and an apple. He's a clinical psychologist now. I'm still a vegetarian. So anyway, I've got a couple more, but I won't take up time if you know, whatever. Oh, can I tell you about Asanaku? A friend of mine in Massachusetts, a poet, created this form called Asanaku, and it's 14 lines, like a sonnet, but it's 4 haiku, 3 lines each, and then a couplet at the end of 6 syllables, so that it makes 14 lines. Wait,
Do you have one, Isabel?
yeah.
Why don't you finish with that? That would be a really interesting thing to hear how that form
Okay.
sounds. Thank you.
Okay. They're fun. They're fun to write. And I think this might have been the first one I ever wrote. Ugly Sonicu. Decrepit endure, smelling slightly of manure. How can I endure? Written in duress, are there enough words to express, caused by so much stress? Everywhere I look, is everyone a crook? I could write a book. I'm looking to you. Please do tell me something true. Ugly Sonicu. Tatterdemalion, Slobberdigullion. That's it.
I like that.
Oh, that was fun. Isabel, it's not related to the poetry, but to the family history. My great grandparents were married in Stamford in 1906.
You're kidding.
No, it's crazy.
My.
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoyed your poetry and the imagery of the well-laid table and the spinsters with their sets of silver. I was out for a hike with a friend of mine after my mom had passed away, and my dad had given me this set of silver plate. Never saw it before in my life, but it traveled from closet to closet to closet.
Mhm.
Because you don't throw stuff away, and you might need it. You might just need a silver service for 12, And my friends had 2 spinster aunts, and they both died leaving behind 2 sets of sterling silver plates. So we surmised that this was how we entered the middle class once upon a time, having a special place to lay the table. And there's a story, I think, in the Washington Post a year or 2 ago about a woman who inherited the family china over 5 generations.
Wow.
And had sons who didn't much get the point. But there was a great story about how eating in a room separate from the kitchen was sort of a early 20th century American phenomenon. And I think it's one we're moving away from again, because now the big family room with the connected to the kitchen with the counter and all that kind of stuff, the big open space is changing. So the historical references you make are really, they resonated with me. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And I meant to comment on Marianne's poem about the golden years. I am there. And yesterday I drove down to San Rafael with a silver tea surface to sell. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I'm there, hanging by my fingernails.
I
Yeah.
think we all are.
And I'm so grateful for poets and poetry. I'm serious. It just, it takes me out of my, negative, oh no, this is terrible, that's terrible, blah, blah, blah. I so appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thank
Sure
you.
thing. Thank
Okay.
you.
Good job.
Prithviji, how about we hear your poem now?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Poem I'm going to recite. This time it's a really earnest poem. 98% of it is fictional, but it is touched by, again, the generational voices, which I think, leave behind an incomplete trail. And I wrote this poem around Christmas time last year. And I felt that Christmas, in many ways, is often advertised as this time of joy and cheer and goodwill. But there are so many people who are struggling and, just trying to go against the tide of festivities and everything associated with that period. And so I thought, why not give a voice to the unheard voices of perhaps my ancestors and people who have unprocessed trauma and trace their family tree through my words. So, mostly fictional, but touched by few realities which you can grasp and see. So, it's titled Voices. The voices that vie for attention. They've been there since my grandmother was told her ghosts were too intricate to be taken to task. Nobody knows what it means for the life of me. Your demons come from your father's uncle. There's a reason the tree at the other end of your estate is forbidden, I was told. The tree is where he lives now, over the branches. My grandmother. She loved the warmth of her shawls in winters. My grandmother. Each day I bury a little bit of her. Each day I'm told that to die at 70 of an incurable malady is how the voices build an early grave. My father's uncle. He loved the coy light of afternoons in January. Like me, he had the peculiar taste for slanted rays falling on his right shoulders, the most delicate part of a man's upper body, meant to lighten a whole day's ego, he used to say. Each day, I go with the flow, but he keeps calling me back to the delicate path of innocence and its torpedoes. Each day, the impertinence of being his kith and kin gives subtle cues to the voices vying for my attention. Now, it is time for heavier socks, gloves, and caps. It is that time of the year again. The last laugh has already escaped. The corn and bread, the husks and cornfields, all eaten and then distended over marginal years. An uncertain time it is for us, all who came before me, and I, bearing our hair under overcast cities. Epilogue. A blue van is parked at the edge of the estate. The voices go with me towards it. On the circle where once I felt the slant of rays on an ordinary afternoon. Fill my right shoulder. Two men in plainclothes usher me in. A flash and an indistinctive light leads me on. Maybe I'm seeing the last of this place where I lived for so long. Maybe the sterile rooms overlooking plush lawns and wicker chairs will be life for the greater part. Voices, voices. They go as far back as Christmas under a nylon sky. Thank you.
I see people are leaving reactions and comments. Did anybody want to just unmute and say something to Chris Vijit about his poem?
There were lots of things I loved in the poem. She loved the warmth of a shawl over her shoulders. And the next line, I didn't write it down, but the next line about your grandmother, just absolutely beautiful. The whole thing was really lovely. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm so the part about the light on the right shoulder is so I'm very curious about that. I've never heard that or anything, but it really stuck.
Thank you. It's a personal quirk of mine. I always feel that because I'm a compulsive walker, I call myself flaneur, as the French term goes. And I always find that the right side of your shoulders is where the light falls and it kind of impacts your whole body posture and movement. And I just thought about how my ancestors, or those who I've not known as well, were not there when I touched the earthly realm. Whether they had the same habit and it got passed down to me it was just a recollection, sort of a subconscious recollection that materialized in those words. Again, I feel that it was some divine power that was guiding me to write this one.
Yeah.
So mostly fictional, but I felt those voices behind me and with me.
Yeah, I want
That's
to chime in and say that's not easy. I have tried and not succeeded, so I'm really admiring. It just seemed to flow so effortlessly, and each piece was so vivid. You could really see the pieces and hear the people and hear the voices.
Thank you. Thank you so very much.
Done.
well done. Thank you.
And I think also the voices that whine for your attention, just this idea that's been with me for a long time as well, that we don't walk alone, that the spirit realm is as much a part of this world as the tables and chairs that we use, as much as we are. And
Yes.
the slanting light, I mean, and the time of year that this comes out of, there's just something so comforting to me about winter light and the way it comes in at a different angle because of the tilt of the earth. It's and the way the light and the voices interplay in that poem. It's just lovely. Thank you very much.
It was
Thank you.
beautiful imagery, absolutely beautiful. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much.
All right, Naomi, why don't you read for us now?
Okay, I was not expecting that. Hang on, because just bear with me for just 1 minute.
Sure. Naomi, where are you calling in from?
I am calling in from North Bennington, Vermont, and saw this on Dan Wilcox's Poetry Motel newsletter thingy. So I too have a poem that involves a grandmother. It's a little bit long. It's like 2.5 minutes. Is that okay? Or I can read something shorter. All right, here we go. I wrote this a couple of years ago. And I sort of think of this as like a little zip drive of my life. It's called Senescence. Grandma, how old are you? She stops, faces me, states, I am 55 years old. I am 5, astonished by such a number. That's old, I exclaim, my eyes wide. Well, if I'm so old, she offers me the vacuum cleaner, maybe you should do this. At 10, I wait for a bus beside a wilted man drooped over a white cane. He tells me stories of dirt roads, trolley cars, meadows, woods where buildings now stand. Does he know he's old, I wonder? What does it feel like? At 29, I give birth. To my daughter, I am omniscient and omnipotent. To myself, I'm just trying to figure it all out. At 36, I am the age my mother lived to. My train of thought occasionally leaves without me. I tell this to my grandmother. Oh, Kutchki, she chuckles, you're still just a baby. Each morning in the dappled woods, the cycle of birth and decay persists. A symphony of translucent greens lighting the tips of trees, folded honeysuckle buds cupped like hands in prayer, holding only hope, bursts open like tiny flames, flinging their fragrance through the damp air, then shrivel, leaving delicate pistils to ripen into fruit. I leave flowers, feathers, and heartstones, my daughter's ashes already blended into soil. I am 5 years past how old Grandma was the day of the vacuuming faux pas. I'm just starting to figure things out. My friends and I watch each other age, bespeckled and bespectacles, breasts amputated, hearts restarted, moles and wombs excised, eyes cloud, insight deepens, bellies soften, backs ache, hips and knees replaced. Still we march, teach, write, sing, do yoga, eat yogurt. Friends inflict pictures of grandchildren. We're in pretty good shape for the shape we're in, says one. Now she is dead. Trees spend 1/3 of their lives dying. Throughout winter, brittle beech leaves cling fiercely, paling to lace, then wave like first flowers, until spear-tipped buds, pointed like a calligrapher's brush, nudge them finely aside, unwrapping silky newborn skin as last year's leftover foliage melts into the moldering blanket reticulate with microscopic lifelines, whose bodies fruit from those same disintegrating trees. The mostly rotted trunk of an ancient maple, older than my grandmother by several greats, houses red squirrels, bluebirds, and brown-eyed barred owls. A pileated woodpecker feeds on the feast of insects, in turn feasting on the tree's flesh. Yet one large limb still greens, still blossoms, releases gossamer wings curling to the humus fed from the deep loam of her own mulch and by the invisible mycelial web nourishing offspring sprouting around her. I too am in my last third. I can answer some of my own questions. I know I'm never going to figure it all out. Every morning, the stranger in the mirror startles me. A slumped form and vaguely reptilian face peers back, lines where none were yesterday, spots and sags, loose, softly wrinkled hands, like my grandmother's, the grandmother I can never be, like the fading beauty of the withering leaves. That's it. Thank you.
Would anybody like to comment? Please just feel free to unmute.
Yeah, I mean, that was a terrific poem. Wow. Wow. And I love the way that it moved through life and death and life and death. And of course, that's the reality of our lives. And I also loved your attention to detail as you brought in nature and wove in so many fine details, including scientific ones, but it works. Yeah, it's really great.
Nice to hear. Yeah, I tried to get a flow back and forth.
You succeeded.
I loved how you integrated the human journey with nature's journey. Even though we're changing and evolving, but I love, like, in the end, there was that hope, that one little branch that had hope. And I love how that ended up. It was a marvelous poem. Thank you so much.
Yes.
That means so much. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful images and very powerful. Yeah. Wonderful. Thank you.
I agree with Ed. My train of thought occasionally leaves without me, just killed me. It was absolutely perfect. And that place where you said, I'm just starting to figure things out. And then later on, you said, I'm never going to figure everything out. That was, to me, just a wonderful wraparound. It's just beautiful, Naomi. Thank you.
Well, also, speaking of the train again, I like where your train of thought has stopped in its various places. Very, very good.
Oh, I really appreciate that. I'm really glad to find this group.
Well, glad you're here. And, I sort of tree technology, our understanding of trees and how trees function and how they are so vital in our environment, just reading about that for me is a source of hope. And to hear you weave that into your poem was delightful. And you think how they are autonomous. They do create their own compost that becomes their food source. It's fascinating. This winter we had a windy and dry winter here in Connecticut, and our rhododendrons, which are native plants, they took a beating. When things warmed up, there was no moisture to rise up, and they turned brown, and it's a sight to behold. And they're coming back. It's fascinating to see all these green leaf buds emerging, not defeated, and it wasn't forever. It was hard when it happened, though, to see these beauties suffer. And I think the poignant moments in your life and the flow that you created with the natural world and those poignant moments, was very powerful. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I think also part of the impetus of this poem was, watching the life cycle of nature and how even when we are, whether it's a flower or a tree or, when we pass full bloom, there's still so much beauty, like what you're describing with the rhododendrons, even in, the final image of the withering leaves. And I wanted to sort of link to that, those of us who are in our last third, like to notice that beauty rather than what we are no longer.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
Chime in?
Did you say, can I chime in?
Yes, yes. Regarding your poem, I was noticing as your recitation progressed, it became almost akin to listening to a hymn, almost a hymnal quality to it. It was very sedate and, touched by experiences. And there was one point, that is why I waited till the end to share my views. You were talking about your own family tree and towards the beginning of the poem. And I was thinking about the same. I often obsess about the lifespan of my paternal family members because most of them do not cross the age limit of 65 or 66. They do not. So there's not this fear, but this apprehension that what do we do with this one mighty life that we have? And your words, because your poem was so thought-provoking, it really brought me to that point that, there are so many petty fallacies that we believe in, but in this one life, if through a poem we can move another person across continents, it is the best gift that we can, give to someone. And I'm really glad that I'm a part of this poetic community. Every session just enlightens me and brings me to this realization. So thank you for those qualities of your poem.
And thank you for those words.
Thanks. Hey, Sam, want to go next?
Yeah, sure. Hi. Hi, everyone. Thank you. Good to be here. Good to be anywhere. Nice, beautiful rainy day here. Good to contemplate everything that we write about. This was written just the other day by this persona who perceives himself to be a romantic poet. It's called Ode to a Butterfly. Ode to thee, fair monarch of spring, your colors so vibrant, such a beautiful thing. You float through the air, bringing beauty to my world, such a thrill to behold, your glory unfurled. Though your reign may be short, on your wings may I fly, and paired with your escort, can we reach for the sky? You rest on a flower, you make my eyes shine, turning my garden and my world to a shrine. May your beauty forever reign throughout the summer's heat, bringing joy and wonder and making life sweet, always bringing delight and a smile to my face as you gently rise and float away in space. Reign on, fair monarch of summer and spring. Ode to thee forever will I sing. May your beauty thrive, your luster never fade. Forever will I wonder how you were made.
That is a gorgeous, gorgeous poem. As you were reading it, I can picture the butterflies that have been now on our butterfly bush out in my front porch, and they're just beautiful to watch. They really are. What a gorgeous poem.
Thanks. Yes, I was visualizing a monarch, floating by as I was sitting on my patio, or imagining one would come soon. Thank you.
Where are you located, Sam?
I'm located in Connecticut.
So I was wondering if you had actually seen any yet. This.
Yeah, I think I've seen one or two. Yeah. Yeah. It might be a little, I mean, it's spring, summer, but I think I have seen one or two around. Yes. Thank you.
I love the cadence. It floated the same way as the images.
I'm really working on my rhythm.
You're a master of rhyme too, and there's a subtlety. You know, there's such profound stuff going on in that poem, and the rhyme and the rhythm kind of the creative music that just takes us along on the breeze. And
Thank you. Thank you.
yeah, thanks, Sam.
Thank you very much. I'm going to have to sign off. My daughter is arriving shortly from New York City. So it's been a pleasure to be here with all of you, and all the best. Thank you.
Have a
Hope you have
great
some great
weekend.
family time, Sam. See you
You.
soon.
Good to hear you.
All right. Let's see. Sharon, thanks for joining us today. Do you want to go next?
Sure. It was my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me. I've loved everything so far. Mary Ann, your first poem, I'm from Akron, Ohio, so it grounded me right away. And Isabel, my parents are both from West Virginia, and we visited down there all the time as a kid. So it was like it was bringing me right back. It was really nice. So thank you. Naomi, it's good to see you. It's been a while. So I'm going to read a poem called 16. 16. Hot molten sugar, sudden, hard, burning my hand. It stuck onto the soft web, the J between my thumb and index finger. Shaking didn't dislodge it. Luckily, the kitchen was full of Girl Scouts. One of them got ice. I had thought making candy would be fun. It wasn't. It hurt. This was a slumber birthday party for me and my friend Jamie, both turning 16. 21 girls in my parents' tiny house. Not much floor space. 2 slept in the bathtub. Jamie was a cheerleader, I a trombone player. It was a motley mix of cool kids, smart kids, jokers, and musicians. Firecrackers outside at midnight. Doug, Ernie, Ned, we later discovered saying hi anonymously. Dad pretended to be mad. Later, during a ghost story, someone rattled the back door. We all screamed. Turned out just my brother coming home. But we all loved a good group scream back then, the drama of it. Jeanette, the majorette, fell down our wonky basement stairs. She was unhurt, but told my mother she was going to sue us. It's amazing no one else ever fell down those steps. My father, entirely self-taught, had poured the cement unevenly. Decades later, at 90, my mother would still carefully go up and down those steps. 3 years after that party, I would leave that house, that town, that state, move 500 miles away to a different life, returning only for short visits. Now it's 60 years later. Some other family lives in that tiny house. I wonder, were the basement stairs ever fixed, or are they still a hazard? Jeanette died young, cancer, she never sued. I still have that scar between my thumb and index finger. I've lost touch with most of the people from that party. I do talk with Karen, one of the bathtub girls, every month or so. She sends me photos of class luncheons, keeps me current on deaths and such. Linda moved to Pennsylvania. I sometimes stop and visit her on my drive back to Ohio. We exchange Christmas cards. The others I only see at class reunions every 5 or 10 years. I smile, say hello. We talk for a minute, but then I go out on the dance floor to avoid long conversations. I don't know why. Maybe to preserve the memory of who we used to be. Thank you.
Wow.
Really?
That was deceptive. Sharon, you kind of lulled us in with this nice story, and then it kept getting deeper and deeper. And then that last line, wow.
Thank you.
Mhm. And it was
You really
completely
need to
entertaining.
write a 90-minute screenplay with that.
Pardon me?
You really need to write a 90-minute screenplay. It's perfect for a John Hughes film. Maybe John Hughes can make a comeback with the screenplay. Or maybe Spielberg. It's a perfect kind of, family entertainer we need. It was so good. I
Thank
could,
you.
picture the screenplay with those images in mind.
It was all true. Even that not knowing why I don't want to get closer at the end. I don't know.
Yeah, but wanting to preserve
Yeah.
the image that you did
Yeah,
preserve. Yeah.
I think so. So,
Two in the bathtub. I love that.
true. They were really close friends. So I guess you'd have to be, right?
Well, I guess you'd have to be. That's wonderful.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
Sharon, you really made me think how slumber parties are such a big, important part of growing up.
Yeah.
It really is something. And all those relatable groups, and you said musicians, and before you said it, I'm thinking band kids. She's going to say band kids.
Yep.
You know?
Absolutely. Marching band, man.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. That was great.
Thanks for the invitation. Great group. I love this forum.
Thanks. We love it too, and now everybody who's been a regular knows that I have a hard time reading a calendar. I got no secrets, but it's awesome people for sure. Why don't we take a little trip down to the Virgin Islands, Lynette? You want to read for us?
Hi, sure. Yes, I'd like to share something.
Okay.
Oh, that is a lot of light. Let me switch. I didn't test the camera first. Okay, so let's get started with this piece. This piece is called People I've Met Along the Way. The people I've met along the way cause me to have a lot to say about the human population because none are ever the same. Race, nationality, and ability are often just trivialities in our basic characteristics. I'm more concerned about the morals, conscience, and ethics, how we approach daily life in our unique ways. I've met wonderful people I'm proud to associate with. Conversely, I've dealt with people that I would never want to sit close to on an empty couch because fear and manipulation is what their game is all about. Sometimes it's family that scares me to the utmost because even they can have bad intentions and set you up to roast, leaving you to toast in the midday sun. Some people just like to run their lives based on your possessions, ruining your heart and soul, taking advantage of your good intentions. Some people I've met along the way often make me say I want to retreat in my hermit crab shell, while others make my heart swell with love and admiration because they're not worried about designation and only care about seeing the world get better. These are the people I've met along the way that remind me to constantly say that there is still good in the world. And that poem is dedicated to you guys, especially the ending part of it, because you encourage us to write, you encourage us to come on the platform and share. And I just want to say on behalf of everyone that we absolutely appreciate everything that you're doing to help us to get our work out there. We appreciate you 100%. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lynette. Here's a small detail. I don't know. I feel like it's funny. Ed uses a mouse, and I'm at his computer, and I'm used to a touch screen, and I have not got So every time I go to, takes me a second. Weird delays. Well, thank you very much for that and for that beautiful poem. I'm thinking we got some really great people here, and the energy in your poem, you and the synchronicities that are kind of emerging in this sharing are really interesting to me, and the geographical connections, historical, cultural, the poetic style connections. You and Sam are like the masters of rhyme, and it's just amazing. So, and thank you for that. It is interesting though, isn't that navigating people is the hardest part of the day, and finding the right ones is a very special thing. The ones that restore your soul rather than drain it.
All of these poems, everything that's been read has been about family connections, personalities that we live with, and so forth, and traditions and so forth. This is amazing. Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you, Lynette. And please don't tell me what the weather is like in the Virgin Islands, because I'll feel really jealous and bad. Okay, thank you.
I think the sunshine of the Virgin Islands is in Lynette's smile.
Oh, wholeheartedly. Yes.
Because
All right.
I love the ocean, but Sonoma, I'm about an hour and a quarter away from the Pacific, and I don't get over there often enough. So thank you.
Susan, would you like to read now?
Yes, thank you. I'm going to stick with the poem I chose, although it doesn't quite fit with what everyone else has been reading. That's all right. And a little more light. It does line up with Sharon a little bit, because my poem is also about 16. And this is from a collection that I published in 2010. And as I look back at this, every time I come across this poem, I think of it differently. But now I'm thinking about how awkward it is when you're 16 and there's an adult who's needy in some kind of way. Like, it's sort of like all our nerves are on the outside of our skin when we're that young. We just don't know quite what to do with it. It's called This Power. Still I hear him, more than see him, jingling coins deep in the pocket of a brown polyester suit. My driving instructor. And I stood awkwardly. He smiled helplessly, saying, "Do you want some ice cream?" There I was, 15, in the first bloom of pretty youth. Some men looked, then looked again. This power, this curse, loving and hating attention, trying to find my way into ease of being, never knowing when I would be beneath notice or noticed too much. The first time I kissed a boy, I was 13. Our lips pursed firmly and my knees buckled, landing me on my mother's plush carpet. The boy was too shy to hold me, but his tender eyes stole my breath. 1 year later, another boy stood speechless as I hurried away from him. Then he chased me, pushed me so that I fell to the ground. Without knowing how, I found myself running, clutching my books to my chest. Sometimes I was invisible. I didn't know why. Other girls were more important. Other girls knew how to act. I folded my shame inside gray wings, tucked my head in, and stared at the floor, whispering the magic chant: disappear, disappear. He liked me, my driver's ed teacher. So he jingled change, offering a cool ice cream while I burned a deep rose, knowing I couldn't look into his eyes, share his laugh, tell myself I was like his daughter. Coin for coin, there could be no exchange. I had nothing to give him in return. Thank you.
Susan, the phrase "folded my shame inside gray wings" just touched my heart. This happens to young girls who are preyed upon or leered at, which is a kind of preying upon, you know.
Yes. Yeah. Not having the maturity to know how to cope with it. And my life's work has been teaching high school. And I just loved my students. And I saw this in the young women, the girls, you know, as they matured and learned to navigate the world.
And I held that image alongside Sam's image of the monarch butterfly. And we just let things unfold in their own time, you know, and allow balance to establish itself. It doesn't always happen. But thank you for that very sensitive poem.
Yeah.
And
You're
I
welcome.
felt your uneasiness about the whole, I just felt your unease with this whole situation. The guy that's supposed to be your driving instructor and possibly wanting more than that. I mean, powerful piece of poetry.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. And you capture the contradictions of the messages to young girls and women, the double-edged sword, you know, beautiful, ugly. Well, you didn't use those words, but yeah, the all or nothing kind of thing, and the not understanding it, the confusion, all of that. It is so beautiful and so eloquently presented.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yes. I agree with everything Naomi just said. I felt the same way, that remembering that confusion of who was I and who am I now and what's going on and do I like it or do I hate it? You really got that. Wonderful.
Thank you. Ed, did you want to come in here and read? He says no. Okay. Okay.
Oh, come on, Ed.
Ed, Susan says you have to.
And I say he has to as well. Come on, Ed, give us a piece, please.
Okay. He's succumbing to the pressure, guys.
Yay.
I'll read a little something while he's figuring it out. We had a warm couple of days this week here in Southbury, Connecticut, and Ed and I went for a swim when I got home from work, and there was a woman there from Belgium who remarked that I was a strong swimmer, and I got to thinking about that and how that came to be, and it was because swimming lessons were a part of my childhood for years, and how that was a good thing, although you couldn't have told me that when I was a child. Getting up on a summer morning, and here's the poem anyway. And it was, of course, Mom's job to get me to the lake and get in there and do it. So this is called Swimming Lessons. I would know how to swim. My mom made sure, summer after summer, in the damp sand of morning, calisthenics and then drills to stay alive in water, like a fish, like a mote of dust sailing the ripples to shore, the soft and drifting sand of summer. Year after year, Red Cross swimming lessons at the town park taught me water is home, though dread of hard ground kept me from diving and cost me the Red Cross certificate, naming me a swimmer. I still jump in feet first, knowing limits set by shallows. Buoyed by what I've learned, I swim the deep sea, with Mom at memory shore, ever my lee. Thank you.
Lovely.
I still jump in feet first. I love that line.
I love the way you ended it. It's really beautiful.
It was a personal pun too, because my middle name is Lee, and only because I was born in 1966, because my dad thought Brenda Lee had a great voice, So, but I think of, the Leeward Islands and the Lee side of things being the safe side. And
Yeah,
and
it kind of switches from the beginning where like there's some resistance and she's insisting and you're going along with it to, she's embracing and supporting and
This is called This Morning on My Way to the Woods. I measured each step, walking softly, quietly, to not disturb the moment. I watched a leaf fall, floating gently on the breeze, touching down without a sound. I listened as a bird sang, tweeting sweetly to another, as the sun glowed between the trees. I breathed deeply, smelling the freshness of the day, this morning on my way to the woods. Short and sweet.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you, Ed. That's great. That's great. We went for a walk. It was a good walk.
And thanks for bending to our will.
Yes, we summoned you and you came here. That's great.
I liked walking quietly to not disturb the moment, and I know exactly what you mean. Sometimes you're feeling all of it, and you just want to be silent. Really nice.
This has been People and Their Poems. Glad you could join us. If you'd like to know more about what we do, please visit our website at OreNogMountainPublishing.com. Check out our poetry anthologies and learn how you can take part in an upcoming collection. And learn more about our services. Let us help you publish your next book. Once again, this has been People and Their Poems, presented by Oronog Mountain Publishing. Have a great day.